At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Stephen M. Sapphire, President and Chief Executive Officer of Montefiore Medical Center, the University Hospital for the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I told Steve in advance that I learned last night in the reminiscences with the class of 1960. As I looked at the slideshow, there was a slide depicting the program of the commencement exercises of the class of 1960, and I was struck by the commencement speaker, no less a figure than Linus Pauling, won the Nobel Peace Prize, won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Steve, it could have been worse. He could have won a third Nobel Prize if he'd gotten the structure of DNA correct, but as anyone who's read Jim Watson's Double Helix knows, he got it wrong. As great a scientist and humanist as he was, and probably gave a great talk, you'll have to reminisce and tell me, it was crystal clear to me that Steve Sapphire is the ideal commencement speaker for this year's 2010 commencement exercise. Steve, to begin with, of course, is an Einstein alumnus from the class of 1982. That was preceded by his undergraduate Bachelor of Science degree from Cornell, and there was a significant intervening period when he functioned as a community organizer before Barack Obama popularized that term. He completed internship and residency in social medicine at Montefiore, and he has been at the Montefiore Medical Center for 28 years in successively more senior positions, the Senior Vice President and Chief Medical Officer before becoming the President and CEO. Since coming to Einstein, it has been my distinct pleasure to forge a unique bond and friendship with Steve Sapphire. And in some respects, this friendship is counterintuitive. Why do I say that? Our career paths and backgrounds, in some sense, are diametrically opposite. For my 33 years at the NIH, seeing patients who didn't have to pay a dime, were all on research protocols in the clinical center, doing laboratory research and administering an institute, you really can't get more ivory tower than that. In contrast, Steve, through a successive career, including the stint as a community organizer, but then through social and family medicine at Montefiore, and a career that was distinguished by many points, including a stint being the chief medical officer at Rikers Island Prison when Montefiore had that responsibility, staving off what could have been a catastrophic tuberculosis epidemic. That was really in the trenches. It doesn't get any more real world than that. Nonetheless, I think we've been able to forge this unique bond in large measure because each of us recognizes the importance to our respective institutions of a stronger alliance, a stronger partnership, and realize that each institution can be greater, or to do Steve's funny math, 1 + 1 = 5, than either could be alone. And I believe that the tangible evidence for the benefits of that partnership are already evident and will continue to be more evident in the future. It's my great pleasure to introduce Steve Sapphire, our commencement speaker.
The clock is dominating the talk here. Dean Spiegel, thank you. And the feelings are mutual. I appreciate your kind words. You are a great friend, and together we share a common vision. President Joel, you are an inspirational leader. Chairwoman Gottesman, your stewardship extraordinary. Trustees and overseers, your dedication and commitment are unrivaled. I'm so pleased to be here and see my wife, Dr. Paula Marcus, over there. We shared the receiving of our diplomas in 1982 together back at the school on the quad. And we met on the very first day of school in the Max and Sadie Lounge. It's true. And we've been best friends and life companions since then. I also want to acknowledge our two daughters, Simone and Gabriella. Their intellect is inspiring, and their values give us optimism about the future. And to the family and friends of all the graduates, your pride is well deserved, for you have guided and supported these remarkable men and women so well. But most importantly, congratulations to all the graduates of the class of 2010. What an honor it is to be before you, MDs, PhDs, MD, PhDs, Masters of Science, postdoctoral fellows. I think I got them all. I speak to many, many audiences, and I truly enjoy it. But for me, this is special. It means so much to me. Einstein, my alma mater. Like you, I needed guidance and support to succeed. My parents gave me strong values and imparted in me the drive to work hard and be persistent towards my dreams, realizing my dreams. My childhood during the 1950s was influenced by the civil rights movement. Turmoil followed the court-ordered desegregation of my elementary school. I took the controversial stand in favor of integration and found courage through the support of my parents to stand my ground. This experience provided me an early lesson in the value of struggle and leadership. Like many, during the Vietnam War, I was an activist in college. And as Alan pointed out, following college, I became a community organizer in Chicago and later in San Francisco. My parents were concerned with my detour from a traditional career track, but they remained supportive. While out there in the field, I discovered the importance of health care to the well-being of the community. This inspired me to pursue a career in medicine, which certainly made my mom happy. Medicine, then as now, seized my curiosity and captured my intellect. But even more, I suspected it would give me a position from which I could advocate for positive social change. However, as you all know, the path is paved with expensive bricks. When I was accepted to Einstein in 1977, as a first-year student, like many of you, I had high hopes, but low financial resources. With my acceptance letter in hand, I went to talk to Assistant Dean Steve Lazar, who's today's Grand Marshal. He offered me loans and a partial scholarship. When I returned in late August to begin school, the financial officer requested the record of the award. Now, Steve had written it on the back of my acceptance letter. I produced the envelope and said that this is the envelope that Dean Lazar had written the promise on. Our school honored that commitment, handwritten on the back of an old, crumpled piece of paper. And that says a lot about Einstein and Einstein's values. It's an institution that honors its word. But I wasn't in the clear yet. The following year, tuition doubled from $8,000 to $16,000. I know you'd like that. So to pay for the rest of medical school, I enrolled in the National Health Service Corps and committed to practicing for 3 years in an underserved area in exchange for tuition and board. I fulfilled that obligation at Montefiere's Rikers Island Health Service at New York City's vast jail complex. Most people I met at Rikers who were sentenced to 8 years spent only 3. They'd plea bargain. I did the opposite. I was committed for 3, and I stayed 8, voluntarily. Though I had planned on an infectious disease fellowship and a traditional academic career, I stayed at Rikers because the health needs were staggering, and I felt the opportunity to make a difference. The AIDS epidemic at that time was escalating. Treatments were few, and many still unknown. Nearly a quarter of the Rikers population was HIV positive, and on any one day on the island, there were 5,000 HIV positive patients. Soon we observed a second and twin epidemic, drug-resistant tuberculosis. This presented a significant threat to the public's health. Each year, 100,000 men and women came to Rikers and left and went back into the community, facilitating spread of the disease way beyond the jail. We created a comprehensive treatment program to address the social complexity of patients' lives. We fought for a much-needed state-of-the-art tuberculosis hospital in the jail. Despite the fact that New York City's public health system had been decimated by fiscal problems, we prevailed. In the end, what was good for our patients was good for the whole of New York City. I share this story with you to illustrate that even when you think you know your path, other opportunities will find you. I have always been inspired by champions of social justice and been guided by the importance of activism and human rights. All of you have chosen fields that can be and should be levers of social justice. In December 1950, Yeshiva University received permission to open a medical school in the Bronx. Dr. Harry Zimmerman, chairman of pathology at Montefiore, went to Princeton to visit his friend Albert Einstein to ask him for the blessing and the honor of using his name for the school. Einstein responded with typical humility, "I am not a medical scientist. Why use my name?" Eventually, Professor Einstein relented, but with the condition that the medical school hire accomplished McCarthy-era faculty who were either blacklisted or rejected from professional societies. Albert Einstein leveraged his prominence to make a difference. You are receiving degrees from a unique institution with a strong and proud tradition of social activism and a commitment to improve the lives of many. You have been trained and mentored by the very best physicians and scientists. You now have the precious gift to heal and to discover. Perhaps during the course of your training, your focus has broadened, and you have begun to answer the question, what can I achieve? And started to ask the question, how can I make a difference? This year's National Dialogue on Healthcare serves as a reminder of how much more we need to accomplish in this country. I believe that healthcare is a right, not a privilege. As a country, we have yet to recognize that. The vibrancy of our democracy and the strength of our social fabric are undermined by a fragmented healthcare system that leaves so many individuals and families poorly served. It has required ongoing struggle to make constitutional the human rights not included in the original Bill of Rights. It took nearly a century to abolish slavery and another century to establish voting rights for African Americans. A women's right to vote took even longer. Efforts to overhaul the healthcare system began over 100 years ago. It took 50 years to establish Medicare and Medicaid. It took another 50 years to pass this year's legislation, which significantly expands health insurance to the uninsured. The current legislation will evolve over time. This is the natural history of landmark legislation. You, our graduates, now have the opportunity to help us build on the current momentum and shape a future that will benefit generations to come. Like so many milestones and advances in social justice, this will take time and perseverance. We will work together towards reforming how care is delivered and how it is paid for. I can assure you, Montefiore and Einstein will be in the lead. And as scientists and physicians, your voices, your discoveries, your contributions will help us get it right. The public health challenges before us today are also twinned. Obesity and diabetes are epidemic. Like tuberculosis, obesity and type 2 diabetes grow in part from the environments in which we live. With them comes a cascade of illnesses impacting our quality of life. The young and poor are especially hard hit. We care for 10-year-olds at our children's hospital who weigh over 200 pounds and have what is commonly called adult-onset diabetes. You will need to embrace these challenges and develop new ways of thinking, new prevention strategies, and new treatments, whether you work in a research laboratory in New York or you're a clinician in rural Maine. Important achievements require persistence and struggle. Challenges will define your success. So at this extraordinary moment of accomplishment for you, I remind you of the importance of family and friends. They are your true north and will keep you on course. After today, you will assume a new and unique platform. People will seek your opinions. Do not hesitate to give voice to your ideas and ideals. Be as good as you can be in what you do, but don't stop there. Use your platform to speak to what is right. I wish that your journey will be as rewarding for you as mine has been for me. Plan your course and stay open to opportunities, which may alter its direction, but help make the world a better place. Albert Einstein wrote over 60 years ago, "Our time is distinguished by wonderful achievements in science, but humanity has every reason to place the advocates of high moral standards and values above the discoverers of objective truth." You are all agents of change. Go out and make a difference. Congratulations again to all of you. I wish you the very best.